Good evening. This is the first Fireside Chat with Professor Sir Roger Graham. And if you're listening to this recording, then you have somehow found your way into the ORSUS Reading Room. In fact, very deep into the ORSUS Reading Room. I should probably apologise. Most visitors arrive looking for answers. Very few leave with them. And tonight's guest is a man I have known for more than 30 years. That statement, however, is not as straightforward as it sounds. You see, the gentleman seated opposite me has been known by a great many names. Some of them are recorded, most are not. He has fought in wars separated by centuries. He has stood in places now buried beneath modern cities. He has watched kingdoms rise, empires collapse, and ideologies burn themselves out. And somehow, despite all evidence to the contrary, he remains one of the most stubborn men I've ever encountered. William, welcome. Thank you, Roger. Though I suspect stubborn is not the word Eleanor would use. No, her version is considerably less charitable. For the benefit of our listeners, would you care to explain who you are? Not really. There you are, ladies and gentlemen, 3,000 years of accumulated wisdom, and we already have reached the end of the interview. Now, you asked who I am. The honest answer is that I don't entirely know. The name William Cochrane belongs to one life. There have been others. What's the first you remember? Well, Jerusalem, perhaps. 1,200 years ago, a city filled with some certainty, which perhaps should make you nervous. And yet, after all this time, you still choose to fight. Why? Because somebody has to. People imagine history is driven by great men, kings, presidents, generals. But most of the time it isn't. Most of the time it is driven by systems. The problem is that system doesn't care about people. You mean the machine? Well, the machine, with a different name, a different century, the same idea. Many readers assume the struggle between the Equis Bellici and the consistory is a war. Is it? No. Wars end. This doesn't. It's more an argument about what humanity should become. Weapons change, uniforms change, but the argument remains exactly the same. And after all this time, have you won? No, neither have they, which is why we're still here. What do you fear? Certainty. Every disaster I've ever witnessed began with somebody deciding they possessed absolute truth. Interesting. Not death. Well, death is remarkably common, and I've seen rather a lot of it. Certainty is far more dangerous. You once told me that immortality was overrated. It is. People imagine endless time means endless wisdom. Mostly it means endless paperwork. I knew there was a reason we remained friends. Well, friends is perhaps overstating it. Indeed, the jury remains divided. They're still out. Right, one final question. You've seen 3,000 years of human history. What have you learned? Well, most people are better than the systems that govern them. History is not inevitable, and that every generation believes its problems are unique. But they never are. And if there's one thing our listeners should remember, never trust anyone. Let me say that again. Never trust anyone who only reads one book. I suspect that you might say that. Thank you, William. My pleasure. My pleasure. It's my first interview of this kind. Well, this has been our first Fireside Chats from ORSUS Reading Room. Next time, if I can persuade him to sit still for long enough, we shall be speaking to King Juba, which means the discussion may begin in Numidia and end absolutely anywhere. Until then, good evening, and remember, history remembers the events. ORSUS reveals the record.